No, the derby is an event. It's something that stops everything in the country, because some even claim that even the president for 90 minutes stops whatever he's busy with. They stop meetings and they watch the game. It's a huge event.
The only guaranteed sellout in South African football, I think it's safe to say, is Chiefs Pirates. It's the biggest game on the South African football calendar. It's always got around 90,000 people at the main stadium in Johannesburg, the FNB Stadium. Other games are usually not a sellout. I mean, even a pre-season game between Chiefs and Pirates is now a regular pre-season game, and it has been for some time. Even that will sell out.
The first thing they do when the fixture list comes out is look at when Pirates and Chiefs are playing.
Orlando Pirates usually play at Orlando Stadium, that's their home ground, but Orlando Stadium only has a capacity of around 40,000, and for the derby it's usually a sellout of 80 to 90,000, as I said, so they use FNB Stadium every time they play the derby. Unfortunately, Pirates kind of have to cede home advantage on some level, but seeing as they've got a better record in recent times against Chiefs, I don't think they'll mind. Chiefs and Pirates rivalry goes back about 40 years, well, at least since Kaizer Chiefs were founded in 1970, so it goes back in about 48 years now. Kaizer Chiefs name, Kaizer Motaung, it was the founder of Kaizer Chiefs, actually went and played in the USA for an American team called the Chiefs. I don't know where they were from exactly, but he played for a team in America and came back and founded Kaizer Chiefs, and they are comfortably the biggest club in the country with the biggest support.
He found that the team was divided. Some players were not happy, they were frustrated with how things were going. They had a big squad, some players were not playing. And in the old days there was no money in our football, so if you don't play, you didn't really get paid. So those players were frustrated because that's where they got their daily bread from football. Those that left at Pirates, they didn't like what the other guys did. They felt betrayed, so they started fighting. They started not liking each other at all, because in the early days, the rivalry was fierce. It was like, if you supported Kaizer, you go with Kaizer. You don't come back, you don't talk to us, we don't talk to you, we don't want you.
Find, Kaizer Chiefs fans on the other side of the stadium grandstands, and Orlando Pirates fans on the side of the grandstands. Back in the days, there would be clashes, there would be fights amongst fans, But I'm not really sure what has happened in the last couple of years. I think maybe because it used to be very violent back in the days. Fans would kill each other. Fans would, even at home, fans would kill. There would be fights. There would be stories about a person having hanged himself because of Paris lost the derby and stuff. But recently, at the moment, you find fans, sitting amongst each other in the stadium.
It's quite a friendly rivalry. If you go to a game, the fans will sit with each other in the stands. It's not got the kind of maybe partisan nature it used to, I think, back in the day before my time. But there's not so much fan aggravation attached to it or that kind of thing.
There was no this friendliness that we see now that's coming in, that people sit together. In the old days it wasn't happening, because if you were Chiefs, you were Chiefs. If you were Pirates, you were Pirates.
So there is Orlando and there is Pefeni. So Orlando and Pefeni people wouldn't really get along when it's the derby. So Pefeni people were Kaizer Chiefs people. So Kaizer Chiefs are called Pefeni Drama Boys. So Orlando Pirates are all from Orlando, and they are called Orlando Pirates, the Ghosts.
So there's not necessarily the kind of vicious rivalry. I mean, and if there is a rivalry, it's kind of quite friendly. Like, you'll have Pirates fans carrying around a coffin with like Kaizer Chiefs written on it, but the Kaizer Chiefs fans won't mind that. It won't like be a cause of friction, or a fight won't break out about it. It's like part of the culture, And everybody, people dress up and people go and all mingle together. So that's quite friendly in its own way. Perhaps compared to other derbies. I know in Brazil at the derbies there's no way they let the fans stay together. Certainly in the UK, they're kept in separate areas because violence can break out. Or it certainly is more likely that it will happen if the fans are not kept apart. So I guess the partisanship is different than the way people look at the game. But there is, still rivalries, and it does give you kind of the bragging rights with your mates, or for Chiefs or Pirates. Pirates lately have won more than Chiefs, but there's always a bit of a traffic mess because people arrive so late, and often you find that the stadium isn't full at kick-off and then only fills up by half-time. As the game goes on, it gets fuller and fuller. So you have that, but you don't just have that with Chiefs Pirates. You have that any big game. I'm not sure if the policing is done well enough. I'm not sure. Again, it's the culture of arriving at the game early. I mean, you had a game this year where Sundowns played Barcelona. They paid for Barcelona to come in and play them in a friendly, and the ground was like quarter full at kickoff, and a lot of people must have seen like 10 minutes of the game because they arrived so late. So.
60% of football lovers in South Africa are either Chiefs or Pirates, and the other teams share. Maybe Sundowns has 20% of that, and the other teams share the rest. That's how big these teams are.
Because the Chiefs are more popular, that they have more fans. So they'll always, even if we take the most recent derby as an example, the stadium was probably 3/4 Kaizer Chiefs fans, maybe 1/4 Pirates fans. But you find in South Africa as well that Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates are supported across the country. So if you go to Cape Town, 1,000 and more kilometres south of here, you'll still find that most people support Chiefs or Pirates. It's just the way the country and history of the country has evolved. So you do have a team in Cape Town City, who are playing in the Premier League, but they won't have nearly as many fans as Chiefs or Pirates do everywhere, all over the country.
When they go outside of the province, they go to Durban, they get big crowds. They even sometimes feel, if it's a smaller stadium, they fill it up. And Cape Town Stadium is a World Cup venue. Chiefs, last time they were there, earlier this season, full capacity. 40,000 fans were there. They go to Polokwane, they sell out. They go to Mpumalanga, they sell out. But in Johannesburg, they get 6,000 people. Even for Orlando Pirates at Orlando Stadium, if they get 5,000 people, it's considered a big turnout. But you wonder, because it's where the team originates from.
So Chiefs Pirates will always sell out. I think because of the economic situation in South Africa, not everyone has money to buy tickets for every game. The season ticket is not quite as fashionable or popular as it maybe is in other countries, I think. So you'll find that people will save their money so they can just go to this game. And you'll have your hardcore fans, but most Chiefs home games usually at that stadium, not more than a few thousand people.
And you can even hear the coach shouting at players the instructions, and you can actually talk to the guy on the other side and just shout at him, and he can actually hear, because it's so disappointing, the turnout, that you like, okay, I was here last weekend, I couldn't even walk. You find 95,000 people there at FNB Stadium, singing, dancing, shouting, blowing the vuvuzelas, whistling and doing everything. So much that I don't believe that when coaches give instructions to the players actually hear anything. Because sometimes even the referee has to really blow his whistle for the players to hear, because if he's far from the action, then the players don't even hear the whistle. To get a seat to sit on, you don't want to move. You stand up, wants to go maybe buy a beer or something, you come back, your seat is taken. Then the next day you can sit anywhere you want. Well,
Militon Sredojevic, it's his second spell in charge of Pirates. He coached them Some years ago they reached the CAF Champions League semi-final, which is the African equivalent of the UEFA Champions League. They didn't manage to win the league, and eventually he left. Pirates have now hired him back, and last season Pirates did put together a good surge for the title, but they were beaten to it by Sundowns, and they have quite a strong squad, I think.
Their fans call themselves the happy people because the team was making them so happy. But in terms of play for Pirates, last season and this season, it's consistent. They play very good football.
But Chiefs haven't been Pirates since December 2014, so it's quite a long time.
Match that brings itself stand still. The country, match that has so much tension, pressure, stress. Match that people were telling me could make or break you.
They've struggled. Chiefs and Pirates have both, in the last few years, not won the league title. Chiefs coach is Giovanni Salinas. He's an Italian. He was a little bit of an unknown when he first came to this country. He did quite well with Free State Stars, which is a team in the Free State province. Then he left, citing family reasons, went back to Italy, and then reappeared as Chiefs coach. The jury is still out on him and what he can achieve, but he's going to be he's already under pressure. I think you get fans who are behind him, who believe in his tactics, and who think that he is the man to bring them back to the glory days. I think they last won the title even only like 2012, something like that, 2013. So they've been quite a long time without winning the league.
The coach is new, he's just started his job this season, but he already carries that weight that we need a trophy.
Everybody need to understand this. We are Kaizer Chiefs is a special club. It's the best club in South Africa, one of the best in the continent.
It's been embarrassing because for the past 3 years they haven't won anything.
We must improve. Playing for Kaizer Chiefs is very difficult. It's not easy. The expectation is very big. The club is a very big club.
Violent society in South Africa, but it was a lot more. There was a lot more violence at the football. There were stories of people being attacked and that kind of thing.
Defense demand a trophy. They want a trophy this season. Otherwise, it's gonna end badly. Like last season, towards the end, when they were knocked out of the Nedbank Cup, unfortunate incidences happened at Moses Mabhida, where fans tried to burn down the stadium. They destroyed TV cameras and even assaulted security personnel because they were so unhappy, so displeased because that was the last trophy their team was involved in. And getting knocked out, they felt they had to show their frustration, and it resulted with the coach, with then coach Steve Komphela resigning. He was compelled to resign because he could see that the fans were unhappy, and if he continued, even his life would be in danger because these people can even stop you in the street and ask you what's happening there.
And after the 2-0 loss to Free State Stars with the country's most successful club to end a third season without winning a major trophy, the 3 seasons Komphela coached at the club will go down in history as the worst in its 47-year history.
They control the country's happiness index. They know that the country is going through difficulties in terms of economy and politics and all that, but if Pirates win, at least half of the population has some good news to celebrate, and if Chiefs win, it's the same thing.
So I think it was 2001, there was the famous Ellis Park disaster where like 30 or more people died. You know, if you're going to compare it to something, you might compare it to Hillsborough or something, the Hillsborough disaster in the UK.
The game had been oversold, 30,000 more tickets than available seats. The result, an horrific crush inside and outside the stadium, watched by a horrified live television audience. The scale of the disaster overwhelmed emergency services. Some ambulances couldn't even get into the stadium. More than 150 injured were ferried to hospital. A shocked South Africa asking how this tragedy could happen.
There's an inquiry, I think, off the top of my head, the resolutions I don't know, but there was certainly a resolution to play the game. I think that game was at night, and there was more of a resolution to play the game during the day. I think also they moved it to Soccer City because that stadium still existed even before it was revamped for the 2010 World Cup. It still was a bigger stadium than Ellis Park, so they tended to play the derby at a bigger stadium where there's just space for more people to get in and out. Yeah, there was an inquiry, but nobody really got blamed or charged. It was just like a bit of a combination of too many fans. Maybe the security wasn't done 100% as it could have been, and those kinds of things. They turned it into like a FIFA-approved, 80,000-90,000 seater kind of top-class stadium. Like they haven't had. I don't think they've had problems with people getting into the stadium for this.
Something you have to watch, you have to come and see.
It is counted among the top derbies in the world, and I mean, it deserves to. It's the biggest derby in the continent.
At least once in your life, you have to be there and then experience it and see how crazy people become on the day and the crazy things they do and say, singing and everything. It becomes a carnival. It becomes something that you want to be involved in one way or another.
It's really about who supports who. It's about people loving the event and the occasion.